The 10mm pistol. The 10mm pistol has been in literally every mainline Fallout game, which is more than most marriages can say. It's the gun you pick up 10 minutes out of the vault, the one that sits in your inventory until something better shows up, and the one you keep around anyway because ammo is everywhere. In-universe, it was the standard sidearm of the Bureau of Alcohol, Drugs, Tobacco, Firearms, and Lasers. Yes, the lasers. Though the actual military was phasing it out for energy weapons by then. Wastelanders didn't care, because the thing is rugged, reliable, and hits hard enough to drop most of what's trying to eat you. The design itself has changed every game. The original Fallout titles hand you the Colt 6520, a semi-auto so simple that any clown with a workshop could crank one out. By Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Shelter, you're holding the N99, the US military's actual standard issue sidearm, starting in 2051, built to survive the apocalypse and to be repaired by anyone who can pull a slide. For Fallout 4, Bethesda redesigned the whole thing from scratch. Slide release lever, and a mod kit deep enough to make it a machine pistol, a recon sniper, or a suppressed assassin tool. Then 76 doubled down even further, offering both semi-auto and full auto receivers on the same frame. But here's where it gets weird. The gun was originally supposed to be an automatic revolver, the art got drawn, the description got written, and somewhere in between somebody on the team forgot to tell anyone else, which is why the original item description still references a magazine even though the model clearly has a cylinder. Chris Taylor wanted to fix it and never got around to it, so every game since has just inherited the error. And the TV series finally leaned in with a 12-round version that operates more like a revolver. The whole visual design, meanwhile, was lifted from the comic hard-boiled by Jeff Darrow, the same artist who later did the cover for All Roads, the tie-in comic released alongside New Vegas. The hunting rifle. Fallout's gun economy is broken, and the hunting rifle is Exhibit A, a weapon designed to shoot deer that somehow became the default sniper rifle for half the NCR. In universe, it's a rifle made for pre-war hunters chasing game in the woods, not nuclear apocalypse soldiers chasing each other across irradiated salt flats, but the same things that made it good for game animals: accuracy, stopping power, and parts that are easy to come by, turned it into a wasteland workhorse the second the bombs fell. The 1st Reconnaissance Battalion of the NCR Army, the guys who basically gatekeep the entire concept of sniper in New Vegas, used these in place of dedicated sniper rifles, and that's not because they couldn't afford better. It's because the hunting rifle is just that good. The first model is the Colt Rangemaster, a semi-auto chambered in .223 from Fallout 1 and 2, with a 1-to-10 barrel twist that gives it solid accuracy at range and a built-in slot for an aftermarket scope. After that, the franchise switched almost entirely to the bolt-action version that shows up everywhere from Fallout 3 onward, typically chambered for .308, but with variants for .50 caliber, .38, and a weird Capital Wasteland regional flavor that takes .32 caliber for some reason. New Vegas also gave us the Varmint Rifle, which is the budget hunting rifle for people who want to hunt actual varmints, rodents, birds, small canines, and ended up being the gun every courier picks up at Goodsprings and uses for the next 20 hours because they can't afford anything else. Behind the scenes, Joshua Sawyer said the New Vegas model is basically just the Fallout 3 hunting rifle, which is basically just an old Winchester Model 70. So congratulations, Fallout's most beloved sniper is actually your grandpa's deer rifle. The laser rifle. If you've ever wondered why every Brotherhood of Steel Knight is holding the same rifle, it's because pre-war America cranked out the AER-9 by the thousand and they just refused to break. The AER-9 is the laser rifle, the one your brain pictures when somebody says laser rifle. It's the iconic energy weapon design of the franchise from Fallout 3 onward, and it has a really specific reason for surviving as well as it did. The crystal array inside is housed in titanium, which means it can sit in a flooded military bunker for 2 centuries and still come out shooting straight. The newer AER-12, which was the actual top-of-the-line laser rifle at the time of the Great War, used gold alloy housing instead. Fancier, more cutting edge, falls apart way faster. So the Army's outdated rifle outlasted its replacement by about 200 years. Classic. The AER-9 runs on microfusion cells, fires red beams, and gets its power processed through a wave particle diverter built by General Atomics International. The franchise has built a whole family of weapons around it. There's the AER-14 prototype tucked away in Vault 22 with exposed wiring and circuit boards literally taped to the stock, and it fires a green laser because of course it does. There's the tri-beam laser rifle, which is basically a laser shotgun. There's the recharger rifle, which has unlimited ammo but takes a year to charge each shot. And then there's the Watts 2000, the Fallout 1, and 2 laser rifle that's still the popular pick out on the West Coast, used by US Marine snipers during operations in Nanjing, China, in case you needed your Fallout lore to get just a little more uncomfortable. The plasma rifle. Plasma rifles do one thing: they fire superheated bolts of plasma that, on impact, can melt soft targets, separate them from their own bones, or just outright reduce them to a viscous green fluid. It's the cleanup that's hard. The original is the Winchester Model P94, an industrial-grade plasma caster that shows up in Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas. It's an ugly, bulky, two-handed thing that fires plasma toroids down a superconducting barrel, stabilized by a pair of electromagnetic claws at the muzzle. US Army Colonel Moretti went on the record in Future Weapons Today magazine and slammed the P94 94 for being a costly piece of garbage that required specialized training nobody wanted to do, so the Army put out a contract for a replacement. And this is where the lore gets really fun. Poseidon Energy was working on a successor under Project Semele. Repcon Aerospace, a subsidiary of Robco, was working on its own version. The two companies were locked in a corporate espionage war over who could build the next-gen plasma rifle first, and Repcon ultimately won by stealing Poseidon's data and combining it with their own failed work on a quantum matter modulator from one of their rockets. The result was the Q-35 matter modulator, version 35 of the project, after 34 prior versions that variously failed, exploded, or in the case of version 33, somehow took the entire lab with them. The cleaner, lighter design that came out of all this, the urban plasma rifle, is the model you see in Fallout 3, New Vegas 4 and 76. Modular enough to be turned into a pistol, a sniper, a flamethrower, a scattergun, or an automatic rifle, just by swapping the barrel. As for the Q-35 prototype itself, it got hijacked in transit by Repcon's own CFO working with suspected Poseidon operatives, and never made it to the Department of Defense. Pre-war corporate America never disappointed. The Fat Man. Some weapons in Fallout earn their place in the canon through subtle elegance. The Fat Man got there by being a handheld catapult that launches portable nuclear warheads at your enemies. It's not a metaphor because that's literally the official Fallout 4 loading screen description. The M42 Fat Man started development at Fort Strong near Boston in February 2076, with the goal of giving infantry soldiers the ability to personally launch tactical nukes at fortified enemy positions, because apparently that was a gap in the US arsenal. The first problem they ran into was that the warheads were heavy enough that the operator couldn't get out of the blast radius before the thing detonated. Their solutions included shrinking the warhead to the smallest possible size and using railgun technology to fire it further. Both of these solutions sucked. 2 soldiers died during live fire testing. General Brock, the commanding officer in charge, covered the whole thing up by ordering his subordinates to send urns full of sand to the dead soldiers' families. The breakthrough finally came in December 2076, after the project lead pulled an all-nighter and decided to base the launcher on a spigot mortar mechanism, meaning the warhead would launch itself using a subcharge embedded in the bomb. 6 hours and 14 cups of coffee later, the M42 was conceptualized. 100 test firings later, in September 2077, the Fat Man was ready to ship to American troops overseas. A month after that, the bombs fell. The launcher's variants are about what you'd expect. The experimental MIRV fires either 6 or 8 mini nukes at once depending on the version. Esther is a unique one with a blast shield that just doesn't jam. The Striker from Far Harbor was built by a bowling alley for a paraplegic former bowling champion and shoots actual bowling balls instead of nukes. The name, of course, is a direct reference to the bomb the US dropped on Nagasaki, which is why in the Japanese localization of Fallout 3 and New Vegas, it's just called the Nuka Launcher. The reload sound, fittingly, is the actual lunch bell at the Bethesda offices. The Super Sledge. A sledgehammer is already a perfectly functional weapon. The Super Sledge looked at that and asked what would happen if you bolted a kinetic energy storage device to the head. What happens is, the iconic Fallout melee weapon, a two-handed bludgeon that hits hard enough to ragdoll a super mutant across a room. The original Super Sledge dates back to pre-war America, when trench warfare made a comeback and the military needed a tool for combat engineering and breaching concrete fortifications. The kinetic storage device turned it into a self-powered engineering tool that also worked great as a weapon. By the end of the Battle of Anchorage, it was standard issue for T-51 power armor units assigned to breach heavily fortified enemy lines, and you can see them using these in the Operation Anchorage simulation during the final push on the Anchorage refinery. There are a couple of major variants across the franchise. The Fallout 3 and New Vegas version is the original US military design, a spring-mounted shock damper, a kinetic storage device in the head, and padding so the user doesn't dislocate both shoulders when they swing it. Bethesda later changed it up for Fallout 4 and 76, giving us a rocket-assisted version, a pre-war construction tool with a literal rocket booster on the back of the head. The booster activates once the swing hits a certain acceleration point, delivering a hit powerful enough to crush concrete. The user is protected from the recoil by the shock dampener in the handle. Everyone else around them is not. Then there's the original Fallout 1 and 2 version, which is a post-war Brotherhood of Steel redesign. Streamlined housing, simplified handle, built specifically for use by guys in power armor, and very obviously not for anyone else. Notable unique variants include Oh Baby in New Vegas, and Fox's Super Sledge in Fallout 3, but the core appeal of the Super Sledge is consistent across all of them. It's just a really big stick that hits really hard. The Power Fist. There is a particular kind of Fallout build that decides ranged weapons are for cowards, and the only acceptable way to engage with the wasteland is to punch it into compliance. The Power Fist exists for those people. It is, mechanically, a gauntlet, a heavy armored glove worn over the hand, with some kind of force-amplifying mechanism strapped to the knuckles, depending on the model. It turns the world's least efficient close combat option, the human fist, into something that can drop a super mutant in one swing. The first version, from Fallout 1 and 2, is the Beatco Big Frigger, a name I'm sure nobody on the writing team wanted to defend in front of HR. It uses servo motors to amplify the wearer's strength and runs on small energy cells. Fallout 2 added the Mega Power Fist, which is the same gauntlet with upgraded servos and twice the power draw. By Fallout 3 and New Vegas, the design got renamed to the Pneumatic Power Fist. Same basic concept, but with a pneumatic ram instead of motorized servos. It looks like the gauntlet off a suit of power armor and hits about as hard. Bethesda took the design in a different direction for Fallout 4, turning the Power Fist into a pre-war demolition tool that construction crews use to bust up concrete. The survivors of the wasteland predictably found other uses for it. The variant family is delightfully unhinged. There's Fisto, a unique Fallout 3 Power Fist whose name is several layers of unsubtle. There's the Shocker, an experimental EMP variant prototyped as the FSGV-118-B glove. The Saturnite Fist from Old World Blues is made out of the same lightweight ceramic as the Cosmic Knife and can be swung faster than the heavier models. And then there's the Industrial Hand from Lonesome Road, the only Power Fist with a circular saw blade on it. It's also the only one capable of doing continuous damage, because of course it is. The Gatling Laser. When a regular laser rifle stops feeling like enough firepower, somebody at the pre-war US Army came up with the Gatling Laser. The concept is straightforward. Take the Gatling gun, the rotating barrel design invented by Richard Jordan Gatling, and replace the bullets with laser beams. The multiple barrels let it fire a sustained heavy stream of lasers without overheating as fast as a single barrel design would. The earliest model is the H&KL-30, also called the Sunbeam Gatling Laser, which shows up in Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics. It was still in prototype form when the Great War kicked off, designed specifically for military use and powered by microfusion cells. By the time we get to Fallout 3 and New Vegas, the Gatling Laser has been mass-produced and properly issued out. The new model requires a back-mounted battery pack to feed the absurd ammo consumption, but in exchange you get one of the best heavy weapons in the game and a guaranteed way to delete any Brotherhood paladin who looks at you wrong. The next big redesign came in Fallout 4, which ditched the battery pack in favor of a fusion core, with 4 rotating barrels firing through 2 lenses, which is somehow even more overkill than it sounds. The other variant worth flagging is the X-25 Gatling Laser, which is the model mounted on the left arm of the Securitron house's pet robot army. It's not something you can wield. It's something that gets wielded at you. The behind-the-scenes detail people don't usually catch is that Adam Adamowich's original Fallout 3 concept art for the weapon called it the UB Fried 3000, which is significantly funnier than Gatling Laser, and a name we are collectively poorer for not having gotten in the final game. And those were Fallout's most iconic weapons explained. Which one would be your go-to in the wasteland? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Fallout lore.